Conor McGregor was born in 1988 in Dublin, Ireland, to his parents Tony and Margaret McGregor. Oddly enough, his parents claimed that he was actually born with clenched fists, so it's no surprise he chose a career in fighting. McGregor spent the majority of his youth in Crumlin, a suburb of Dublin. At a young age, Conor developed a passion for sports like football and boxing, and even began training at the Crumlin Boxing Club as early as age 12. It was here where McGregor began developing his striking foundations, and even won a Dublin Novice Championship during his time as a boxer. In 2006, McGregor moved with his family to Lucan, located on the far outskirts of Dublin. This is where McGregor met future UFC fighter Thomas Egan, and from there, the two began their journey into MMA. Since McGregor had no interest in school, he took up a trade job as a plumber's apprentice in order to make his living. On some days, he worked 12-hour shifts before heading to the gym to train for upcoming fights. The only problem was, Conor hated work, and found it nearly impossible to maintain his busy work schedule while also training as an MMA fighter.
I got the first trade that came my way, which was plumbing, you know what I mean? And I spent 18 months doing that, and I'm looking around on the site and I'm looking at the fully qualified people, you know, bad backs and bad posture and not making, you know what I mean, not a good life to live, you know, and I just realised I didn't want to go down that route, you know what I mean?
So soon enough, McGregor decided to quit plumbing and pursue MMA full-time. At the time, his parents strongly disapproved, but Conor had made up his mind, and he was sticking to it.
It's always in my head. I'm always thinking about it. I'm definitely obsessed with it.
Around this time, Conor began dating Dee Devlin, the woman who would stay by his side throughout his MMA journey. Part 2. His early MMA career. Conor made his MMA debut on February 17, 2007, competing in the Irish Ring of Truth promotion in Dublin. He faced off against fellow amateur fighter Kieran Campbell, who he defeated by knockout in just the first round. Following his first win, the promotion decided to sign him, and he soon began training under the now famous trainer John Kavanagh. McGregor had his first professional MMA fight in March of 2008, defeating Gary Morris by TKO in round 2. As a pro, he went 4-2 in his first 6 fights, showing both a lot of potential as well as several areas that needed improvement. Over the years, McGregor worked tirelessly to fill any holes in his game, and soon enough began a historic run that would lead him to fame and fortune. After compiling a 4-2 record, McGregor won his next 8 fights, with each of those wins coming inside of 2 rounds. During that time, he also won both the Cage Warriors featherweight and lightweight championships, becoming the first European professional fighter to hold titles in 2 divisions simultaneously. Conor's achievements quickly captured the attention of UFC president Dana White, who offered Conor a multi-fight contract in 2013, becoming just the second fighter from Ireland to compete for the UFC aside from his teammate Tom Egan. Part 3. The beginning of his UFC career. In April of 2013, Conor McGregor made his highly anticipated UFC debut against Marcus Brimage, which he won by TKO in little over a minute, earning him his first Knockout of the Night award, which netted McGregor a $60,000 bonus. Just a week before the win, Conor told media outlets that he had been collecting welfare checks to help him get by, so the win was a big turning point for McGregor's career.
Just last week I was collecting the social welfare, you know what I mean? I'm gonna have to, I was in saying to them, like, I don't know what's gonna happen, like, I'm signed to the UFC, I don't know what, blah blah blah, but now I suppose I'm just gonna have to tell them to fuck off.
The win also led to the first post of McGregor's now famous Instagram page. From there, Conor's reign of dominance continued. His next victory came against Max Holloway, who he beat by decision despite tearing his ACL during the fight. He was then set to headline an event in his 3rd UFC appearance, taking on Diego Brandao in his hometown of Dublin. McGregor won the fight in spectacular fashion, and finished Diego by knockout in 1 round. What followed was an eruption of celebration from the Irish crowd. The win was followed by the now famous quote from McGregor, in which he stated, "We're not here to take part, we're here to take over." The speech left thousands of Irish fans cheering, and it was clear that McGregor's star power was rising tremendously. Part 4. Championship aspirations. From there, McGregor continued his rise to stardom, finishing both Dustin Poirier and Dennis Siver by knockout. His 5 wins in the UFC put McGregor next in line to challenge featherweight kingpin Jose Aldo for the belt. The fight was announced in January of 2015 and was set to headline UFC 189 in July of that same year. The two even went on a wild 12-day world tour to promote the fight, which included stops in both Aldo's home country of Brazil as well as McGregor's hometown of Dublin. But when Aldo was forced out due to a rib injury, top contender Chad Mendes stepped in to serve as a replacement, with the interim featherweight title now on the line. Despite being taken down several times during the fight, McGregor continued to bounce right back up, ultimately finishing Chad by knockout during the last seconds of round 2. Capturing the interim belt was undoubtedly a surreal moment for McGregor, who could barely keep his emotions contained as the belt was wrapped around his waist. The win put McGregor in a position to fight Aldo once again, this time in a title unification bout. Despite the long build-up, Conor finished Aldo by knockout in just 13 seconds, becoming only the second featherweight champion in UFC history, while also setting a record for the fastest championship performance in the company's history. The stunning one-punch knockout was an unforgettable moment, especially considering it came against someone who hadn't lost in over a decade.
I'm just extremely happy. It's been a lot of hard work to get here. We're here now. We're at the top, number 1, pound for pound. Ireland reigns supreme.
Part 5. A temporary setback. Following his win at UFC 194, McGregor expressed his desire to become a 2-division UFC champion.
KO Jose and KO whoever holds that lightweight belt. And within the next 2 fights I will be a 2-weight world champion.
He had accomplished that goal in the Cage Warriors promotion, so he wished to do the same inside the UFC. He set his sights on the lightweight division and was soon scheduled to fight lightweight champion Rafael dos Anjos at UFC 196. But when RDA was forced to withdraw due to a broken foot, Nate Diaz stepped in to face McGregor on short notice, with the fight now taking place at welterweight. This was a big risk for McGregor, as he jumped up 2 weight classes, taking on a naturally larger opponent. Despite McGregor entering the fight as a heavy favourite, Nate Diaz eventually wore him down and caught him in a rear naked choke in round 2, forcing McGregor to tap. It was the first loss of McGregor's UFC career, and one that ended his 15-fight winning streak. But the loss didn't keep him down for long. Instead, McGregor accepted defeat and vowed to make the necessary adjustments the second time around.
I've been on the end of many defeats in my life, and I've rose back, so I will not shy away from it. I will not make excuses for it. I will assess it and come back.
A rematch took place at UFC 202, with the fight being contested at welterweight once again. The fight turned out to be one of the most memorable performances in UFC history, but in the end, McGregor outlasted Diaz in their 5-round war to win by a majority decision. Both Nate and Conor were awarded Fight of the Night honours, and the event turned out to be the highest selling pay-per-view at that time, with 1.6 million buys. Part 6. 2-division champion. Following his back-to-back classics with Nate Diaz, McGregor dropped down to lightweight as he previously planned, taking on the new lightweight champion Eddie Alvarez. The two were set to headline UFC 205, which was the UFC's first event held in Madison Square Garden. Conor delivered yet another impressive performance with a second-round TKO of Alvarez, in turn becoming the first simultaneous 2-division champion in the UFC. It was a historic achievement for Conor McGregor, who had reached the pinnacle of the MMA world.
It feels familiar. I saw it so clearly. I swear to God, I saw it so clearly, so consistently, until it's here in reality.
Part 7. Conor McGregor vs Floyd Mayweather. After his historic win over Eddie Alvarez, McGregor decided to take some time off from competition in preparation for the birth of his first child. His inactivity caused the UFC to strip him of his featherweight belt, with his lightweight title following just 1 year later. During his hiatus from MMA, McGregor spent the majority of his time campaigning for a boxing match against Floyd Mayweather, who he had spent plenty of time insulting during his rise in the UFC. Following months of rumours and speculation, the fight eventually came to fruition and was announced in June of 2017. The announcement was met with much criticism from both boxing and MMA communities, especially given that McGregor was making his boxing debut against arguably the best boxer on the planet. The build-up to the fight was certainly historic, with both men setting out on a massive press tour to promote their highly anticipated crossover match, with plenty of insults being spewed along the way. But the fight itself turned out as many predicted, with Mayweather defeating McGregor by TKO in round 10. But despite the loss, McGregor still managed to earn an estimated $100 million, which prompted McGregor to take even more time off to spend his earnings.
The check is alright. The check's not bad.
This included launching his own personal brand of whiskey called Proper 12, named after the crumbling neighbourhood Dublin 12 in which he grew up in. Part 8. Conor's return. While Conor continued to remain absent from the MMA world, Khabib Nurmagomedov began his takeover of the lightweight division. And after dispatching several top contenders, the undefeated Khabib soon found himself in the position to fight for the lightweight title in April of 2018. During the week of the fight, a bizarre chain of events unfolded, most notably Conor attacking a bus that Khabib was on. The incident led to multiple fighters being injured, and McGregor was later taken into custody. McGregor later went on to explain that the attack was in retaliation for Khabib confronting his teammate in a hotel room a couple of days prior. Despite the chaotic week, Khabib went on to win the lightweight title, simultaneously stripping Conor of the same title he had won back in 2016. But the bus incident undoubtedly set the stage for the biggest grudge match in promotional history. And shortly after, it was announced that McGregor would make his long-awaited return to challenge Khabib Nurmagomedov for the lightweight title. The fight was set to headline UFC 229, and the build-up saw plenty of bad blood between the pair.
I came back for the love of fighting and the love of war, and this I am going to truly love, putting a bad beating on this little glass jaw rat.
Unfortunately, things didn't go Conor's way. Khabib dominated McGregor and forced him to tap out in the 4th round. Immediately after the fight, both sides erupted into a post-fight brawl, resulting in suspension for both Conor and Khabib. Part 9. Conor's absence. The loss to Khabib at UFC 229 as well as the suspension definitely put a wrench in Conor's plans. And things didn't get any better from there. The year of 2019 unfortunately saw Conor McGregor making headlines for all the wrong reasons. From announcing fake retirements to being accused of sexual assault, and even punching an elderly man in an Irish pub. Things have not been looking good for Conor, but perhaps with any luck we'll see a more responsible and motivated Conor McGregor from here on out. And with Conor set to kick the year off with the first pay-per-view event against Donald Cerrone, I'm sure we'll all be watching with eagerness to see how things play out. There's no doubting that it's been a rough few years for Conor McGregor, but only time will tell if he's able to turn things around. As always, if you guys enjoyed this video, then please be sure to let me know by leaving a like and subscribing to our channel. Apart from that, thanks so much for watching guys, and we'll see you on the next video.
Never have a doubt, do you like me now? Am I good enough now? Should I get more loud to get hear the fucking sound? Oh no, I'm losing my shit again, having to fit again. Man, I'm forgetting when I used to have some friends. I used to play pretend, we all grow up and then hating my phone and trends. I'm about to blow my head, nobody knows I'm dead. Fear I'm a ghost instead, think that I'm close, I get straight comatose in bed. Try to go slow with breath, without my nose and head. Heart doesn't go the trend, faster it goes.